first episode of the GianniJayPodcast. I'm so excited to be here with my first guest. This is Paula Mack. Paula Mack, how are you today?
I am happy. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm so excited to be here on my first episode. But before we even get started, I really want to hear an intro about you. So give us a little intro about you and what you do and, where you're standing right now.
Well, my name is Paula Mack. I am CEO of Children Connect Inc. And I work with teachers. I coach them. I work with them in the classroom, hands-on with children, mostly in early childhood education, but I stream all the way up and through 12th grade. I also work with adults. I work with parents and I assist them with parent advocacy. And that isn't a service that I offer for free. With that, my business is about parent advocacy, helping teachers, assisting program administrators and principals and leaders in the field. So any funding, I assist them with that, how to make everything work and create a culture in their programs. So that's what I do for a living. That's a lot about me.
And I'm so excited to share this with you, right? Like if you're coming to my podcast, you know that I'm a secondary educator. I teach 7th grade and next year I'll be teaching 5th grade. So it's a huge thing for me. Education right now is a huge topic just in general in society due to this COVID-19 crisis. So my first question that I really want to pose to you, Paul, I think this is like a pressing thing that people want to hear about. On a scale from 1 to 10, how do you think education is going right now and why?
I was going to say a 4, but I really feel it's a 2. And
tell us from the get-go, why is it a 2 and not that 4 that you started with?
Because there's so many children that are in our schools that require a lot of one-to-one support. And in that one-to-one support it's missed with the online presence. Even though you may be on the screen one-to-one with the student, they may need that hands-on, they may need that tap on the shoulder, they may need that connection that's a little bit closer than a screen, and some direction to point at a particular part of a page. And I think that gets a little bit missed because right now the parents are asked to do these things and they may not be able to do that to the capacity that they would like. So that's very hard. And the online back and forth for some students, whether they have an IEP or not, or they have any kind of disabilities, it's just not, the way in which they would prefer to be. They would stay on for a video game, but to stay on and look at their teacher and or get online. There were some stories I had heard about a 12-year-old who was just laying down in bed up and through the night hour, and the teacher would be getting emails of homework in the late night hour. So they would sleep all day, so their whole schedule is off. There's no more waking up, being to school before 8 o'clock in the morning, having breakfast and stuff. It's like a totally different schedule for them, and I can understand how the parents are struggling with this as well. So that's why I give it a 2, because it's really hadn't given anyone an opportunity to be trained with this, to get ready for it, and things do happen.
And I agree with you 100%. Like, I think that I'm right there with you with my students. I know that you affect more preschool and elementary kind of learning. And I think for me, I really have had the same struggle. I think a lot of parents on a different time schedule. I have 2 parents maybe that are essential workers and are doing overtime to make that extra money and therefore can't be there to teach their kid. So at what point are they responsible, right? Like that's a great question to really leave off on. I think it really transitions into our second question that I have for you, which is, how does COVID-19 affect your day-to-day as an educator? Like what are the implications of this, and how is it affecting your day-to-day life? I know that you have a newborn. I know that you have a lot to manage and juggle while you're home. Like, what are you doing on this day-to-day?
Well, what I usually would do is go in and consult agencies. And thankfully, I've been able to continue to work with one of my agencies who have a staff of 35 people. And they were not ready, for online anything. Like they were, get online, what do we have to do? Oh, I can't get
all were ready for this. I know that.
Yeah, they were like him and Han, and I was able to come in for that educational component, talk to them behind the scenes, help them get online. So as I'm doing that, I'm rocking my 4-year-old like, oh, stop crying. Okay. One more text, one more call, breastfeeding on top of that. So I'm just keeping it real candid that is real. You know, my screen is
No,
usually
you got to be doing those are
my
those
screen
are
is
real
like
life
from here
implications
up.
of being home. They're real life implications of being home. Like it's not that fake news. Like it's really just straight up. Like this is what I'm going through, and like no
Yes.
matter what, I'm still an educator and I'm still a mom, right? Like
Yep. My screen is usually like this, if you know, and if you see me like this ever, it's because I have a baby on my boob. And I'm multitasking. I'm making it happen. And in light of all of that, I'm just looking at my notes. In light of all of that, I'm just making sure that we train the teachers, make sure that they feel supported, and call them, because even though, you know, a phone call goes a long way, seeing them on the screen periodically assists, but they felt more comfort in hearing my voice and knowing that I'm there for them, even though I physically wouldn't be able to walk into their room and give them that direct support. So that's what I've been doing each and every day, waking up, multitasking, making sure I get my coffee.
that's 100%. You know, I'm still all about the Dunkin' every morning. I wear my mask, my gloves to Dunkin', and I'm like, all right, but I still need that tall cold brew right now. You know what I'm saying?
And what's so funny is that I have a lot of shirts because my bottoms are like the bottom of my nightgown. So I have a lot of shirts. I look real
And that's the thing, right? Like, we're still doing this in our comfy clothes. Like, what are you gonna do? Like, I'm still in my comfy clothes. Like, once you're home, there's just like this association with being at home that's just like, once you're home, you just feel like you're in your relaxation mode, and to like put yourself into a work mode when you're still at home is extremely difficult right now. Like, a lot of us are all going through it. I'm not just saying me and you, but like all educators out there. Again, my team is going through it on a day-to-day. So it's really a different experience overall. But I think we already kind of solved this question, but I still want to ask it. You already said that you have a 2 with the education that's going on right now, but in your opinion, is remote learning working at all? And is it still serving our students to be on this online platform? What do you think?
I think it's really not serving our children because they were never prepared to be able to look at their teacher on screen. I really know that there are special education itinerary teachers, which is SEED teachers. I'm also a SEED supervisor with an agency. And as I supervise the SEED teachers in the field, they have to fulfill what's on the IEP. And that's one-on-one hands-on. And what they're finding is that when the child has the materials that they were sent, because they did send some materials home to the families, that the parent is giving the answer. The parent feels embarrassed about what's going on in that particular exchange. So it kind of makes it difficult to build with that child, to build their skill set.
And they
When
should
the
never
parent,
be embarrassed about their kids learning. Like, it's learning. Like, you're gonna make mistakes, and we all learn from failure. So it doesn't make sense to ever be like ashamed of what the kid learns at a specific time or a specific, age. It doesn't matter.
yeah, but Gianni, when you think about that, the parent really doesn't have know-how on precursors or what's a trigger, or like we have all this language in the early childhood education. Well, the parents don't know how to phase that in, or pull out.
They don't understand the education that goes into learning education, right? Like getting that master's, getting that bachelor's degree in like learning education and teaching these students is a completely different mindset, and they don't know. Like, you need to be asking these triggering questions to make them think about it before you just tell them straight out, oh, this is the concept. You know what I'm saying? You don't just blatantly say, oh, here's the key takeaway for today, like, we're done.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? You got to get them to build that thought so that they understand it. So it's
I must say, I have seen
parents.
Excuse me. I must say, I have seen parents grow. I have seen some parents that have come from what in the world is going on to their child literally running around in the back of the screen, because we are doing virtual learning with the preschoolers. And we're to the point where we know, okay, which parent does this child work best with? And then that parent is sitting in front of the screen with the child, and they're able to work and maneuver that. So it really is a building point.
It is. And I think that all these parents are still learning as we keep going on. And as we don't know for the future, we don't know what September holds when we reopen these schools, right? We don't know if we're going to start on a remote learning. So will there be a practice that parents have to go through over this summer going into this next year? We don't know what these implications are. And I think this really transitions into my next question, which is like, what standards are the DOE responsible for holding for not just the kids, but for the parents now, right? They need to be educated at least a little bit on what they're responsible for their child's learning moving forward. So what do you think the DOE could be doing right now to kind of support not only teachers, but parents right now?
Well, right now they've moved into pass fail, which I think is beneficial, because I wouldn't think it would be fair for teachers to have to give a number score to a child that third of their year, is missed with interaction. So I think that is beneficial. Although, on the flip side of it is kind of vague where that child really lies, because I could be giving you a pass because I don't want to feel bad as a teacher to fail you in the middle of a crisis, but you really do need to be left back. Or go to summer school, and that becomes the issue. Is like, how do you really gauge that? How do you really gauge that? So my recommendation would be throughout the summer that they create some sort of resources for families to help their child know by the time you get to September, your child should be here. Here are some things you can be doing with your child over the summer to ensure your child moves from this point to that point, because they may be reading on an I level, but they need to get to J. Whatever it is that needs to happen, that it's very specific so that the parents will know, and not to hold the parent accountable for the outcomes of their children. Because since when have parents become the teacher? Like, parents are their child's first
They're
teacher.
not.
They're their child's first teacher, right? We're the second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, 17th, 25th teacher, so the parent becomes a little bit more phased back. And I'm not saying there are not parents out here who are gun-ho doing it like the teacher does, or teachers that are parents themselves and they're doing it really well. But I can say the vast majority are struggling.
No, and you're 100% right. I have a few students that are promotion in doubt right now, and I have parents that are screening my calls. They don't want to take this responsibility right now because their mental health, or like they really don't know what to do for money right now, and they're really struggling. And the last thing on their mind is their kids' education. They just want to get through today and tomorrow. They don't want to think about, oh, how am I going to get him to 8th grade or 9th grade? They're really thinking about, how am I going to put food on the table for my family right now? How am I going to get the access to this money with the unemployment and getting this, this small business bailout if they're working for small businesses? Like, how am I going to do that? Right now, some parents, that's not the priority. So we can't fail these kids. And so even though we have this pass-fail system that DOE is putting out, is it really fair to fail some of these kids that haven't really been around right now because their parents are not in the place to really put them where they need to be?
I bet you bottom dollar there'll be a class action suit out for families that feel like they haven't been vindicated during this time because of what may happen with their child. If their child was failed, if they got to fail, they're going to be lawsuits, a lot of lawsuits, especially for children with special needs, and the IEPs are not being met.
And speaking of lawsuits, this is a perfect transition right now, right? There are kids in both the high school and the college level that are graduating, and they have to do their graduation online. They don't get to walk the stage. They don't get that feeling of affirmation, or they don't get to go to prom. Like, what would you do if you weren't able to go to prom this year, or you weren't able to walk the stage after you worked these 4 years into putting into your degree and seeing all your fellow classmates, the people that you worked with alongside to get to the, from point A to point B through those 4 years? I would be pretty disappointed right now. I would be very upset. I can't imagine not going to prom. I can't imagine not walking the stage with one of my best friends, Catherine, who hopefully will be on this podcast. I'm calling you out now. But I'm so excited to see her. But I'm saying, like, I don't imagine a different life than I've already had. So what would you do if this was you right now?
You know what I saw online? There was a family who bought a graduation dress, a prom dress, and did a photo shoot for their child right outside their door. They had like it all staged, like how a baby shower has the background and the balloons and the cake. They had everything
That's
staged.
So beautiful.
They had chairs for her. They took pictures, and then they had the family drive by and do a drive-by, and then they did a Zoom. So if it was me, I would want my mom to do a photo shoot for me, have someone come out and take pictures, and have this big extravagant thing happening so that this can still be a big deal for me. And for the families that are unable to do that, at least have families on a Zoom call, have a little DJ play music, and we all dance on a Zoom call so we can party and celebrate.
That's it. And I want that big white tent in the back of my house. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I want all my family members there still, even if it's on Zoom or if it's socially distant. they're in the front, I'm in the back. I still know that they're rocking with me. I need something, just some affirmation that, you know what, you put in that work those 4 years, so I need to see you on the other end. You know
I'm
what I'm
laughing. You like they're gonna have a socially distant Soul Train line, a socially distant. You stand all the way over here, you stand, and I come down the middle, one by one, 6 feet apart.
That would be so funny. Imagine just a Soul Train line with 6 people that like socially distant. It would just be like so. It would probably have to go down the whole block. Like, what are you gonna do with that, right? Like, it's so insane. And then my last question for you, really, Paula, is what suggestions and advice, any resources you have that you can link me up with to kind of help parents through this situation and how they can really be the most effective teacher during an unfortunate time?
Well, I must say that the Department of Education, as much as we're talking about the things that could be different or ideas that we may have, they have a grand amount of resources on their website. And we have been using those resources online where they have all different grade and age levels. Teachers are even pulling from some of those resources from as young as Sesame Street to as big as Amazon. Amazon has created all of their books on Kindle for free. There has been so many different resource places that have given Wi-Fi for free. The public school have given out computers. They've extended it.
My school too.
They've extended it, I believe, till June now, that they're going to still have the computers, and they've gone back to Zoom. So a lot of families that were more tangible with having Zoom, they've allowed for Zoom to come back into the picture because they had to take it out due to some things, that security breaches. But I would definitely say go onto the DOE website, and they do have a host of resources for families. That's one thing they did dive heavily into. And they also have a lot of trainings for professionals. So teachers that are in the field, they've put up professional development PDs for the teachers as well. So I really would 100% say go on Google, look up a lot of different free worksheet pages and things of that nature, but for sure go to DOE website and look up resources they have for families.
I feel like these people need these resources to really give their kids an effective education right now when we're not in front of them trying to give them that education that they really need. And from now on, and moving through in all of my podcasts, I'm going to leave every single person that's on this podcast with a mystery question, kind of something that's going to like hit them without kind of like, you know, maybe in the emotional feels, maybe just kind of like sidewinded. So are you ready for this, Paula? My last mystery question.
Let's go.
In 3 words, what is the meaning of education?
Home, school, and community.
You have it here. From the doctorate into this doctorate right here in education is right here presenting her real words. What are they again, Paula?
Home, school, and community.
Remember these things when you're going forward into this education with your students moving forward. So thank you so much for being on my call today, Paula, and thank you so much. I will post the resources that Paula is talking about, and I will add some of my own resources from my own school that have really been beneficial for me moving forward. So thank you so much for the call, Paula.
You're very welcome. You're welcome.
You're going to be on the 2nd season, the 3rd season, the 4th season. You know you're going to be on all the seasons because I'm
with it. Thank you, Gianni.
All right. Thank you so much, and have a
You're
great
very
day.
welcome. You're very welcome.